Weekend of adventure, jam-packed with exciting explorations into UFOs, ancient civilizations, AI, crop
We are on
circles,
console,
forbidden
right?
archaeology, disclosure, and the newest evidence of ongoing contact, sightings, and leading-edge
science.
This amazing
All right,
weekend
I'll
delivers
hang
more
up
than
and,
130
we'll rock and
presentations
roll.
and special events
Oh,
showcasing
Michael.
67 speakers
Are you
from
are
all
you
over
the
the world,
studio?
with 2 extra weeks to view your favorite leading experts, including Avi Loeb with Clyde
Right.
Lewis,
Are-
Linda
I
Moulton
mean,
Howe, Paul
are you
Hellyer,
studio on
John Lear,
StreamYard?
Russell Targ, David Childress, Doc Wallach, and more. With breaking articles in the
you're
New
fine.
York Times and acknowledged naval sightings, and more importantly, the new release of classified documents
I think it's
on the
great.
day of the soft opening of Contact in the Desert, we are your source for inside information. Join
We're
us
ready to
June
go.
25th at contactinthedesert.com to get your tickets today.
Thanks,
Make
guys.
contact,
Have fun.
contactinthedesert.com.
For over 20
Mike,
years, Extendivite has been
Israel
helping
and the
people.
kids are flying
Here is a
out right now,
testimonial
so
from
if I'm not right
Amazon.com.
back, you guys just
Glad
okay,
I found
gotta
this
say goodbye
product.
to 'em.
I am 51 years old and started getting
They're
headaches
taking-
a couple of times a
they're
week.
taking Juliet away
I went
from
to
me,
the
so it might be
doctor
a
and my
tearful
blood
event.
pressure was a little high at around 150 over 95. I found out about Extendivite and I ordered some to try it. Immediately, I felt better and it lowered my blood pressure and my headaches went away almost instantly. I have been taking it now for about 4 months and I am so glad I found this product.
You can leave it on, so
You
it
won't
won't
be
do anything.
disappointed. Extendivite is only $69.95 for a 2-month supply. To order, call 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com. That's HEARTDROP.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
Nice. Ready for another Fairbanks one right there. All right, I got to go.
Lata.
Thank
I
you.
like that show.
Radio Law Talk. Now back to the show.
We're back. The bad dream that you've trying to get rid of. I had the weirdest dream last night, but I'm not going to get into it. But it was very interesting. I was going to tell you about it.
What was the major thing? Was it like a fire? Was it like a dog bite? Was there something bad?
No, it wasn't bad. It was just bizarre. But I don't know. Let's move on to Melinda. Speaking of bad dream, Melinda Gates. It's called the marriage quit, irrevocably broken. And again, where we get this is all over the place. And they had that strange relationship, and they've been married about what? How long? About 20?
I think it's 27.
7 years. They have 3 kids or 2 kids.
3.
Tell us
all
about
adults now, though.
Yeah, tell us what's going on
So,
there.
well, he apparently had a long-term girlfriend. He couldn't marry this person. They just knew they were incompatible. So when he was looking to settle down, he asked the advice of this long-term girlfriend. What did she think about Melinda? And she responded that Melinda would keep him, interested because she was very intelligent.
Right.
So they got married and they knew about this arrangement. Both of them had apparently pretty much an open.
Fox News, I'm Jared McHugh. The White House putting a positive...
Maybe I signed out on that.
And I heard, as it were, the noise of thunder. One of the 4 beasts saying, "Come and see." And I saw, and behold, a white horse.
There's a man going around taking names, and he decides who to free and who to blame. Everybody won't be treated all the same. There'll be a golden ladder reaching down when the man comes around. The hairs on your arm will stand up at the terror in each sip and in each sup. Will you partake of that last offered cup or disappear into the potter's ground when the man comes around? Hear the trumpets, hear the pipers. 100 million angels singing. Multitudes are marching to the big kettle drum. Voices calling, voices crying. Some are born and some are dying. It's Alpha and Omega's kingdom come. And the whirlwind is in the thorn tree. The virgins are all trimming their wicks. The whirlwind is in the thorn tree. It's hard for thee to kick against. Till Armageddon, no shalom, no shalom. Then the father hen will call his chickens home. The wise men will bow down before the throne, and at his feet they'll cast their golden crowns.
Hello, Bill from Patriots Lament again. I'm not sure what exactly happened at the beginning there, but anyway, welcome to the show. And Josh, you there?
Yep. Got me coming in?
You there?
I can hear you. I'm there.
Cool. Okay.
Yeah.
So we were going to start off with this Economic Policy Journal story. Warning: New World Health Organization group to plan health and economy of the entire world.
That's a headline.
Yeah. So the World Health Organization is convening 11 leading figures in economics, health, and development from around the world as the first members of the WHO Council on the Economics of Health for All. So I guess now economics is based entirely on health. This is an extremely dangerous development. Remember, the WHO played a lead role in advising globally on the lockdowns that occurred as a result of a virus, COVID-19, that is not a serious threat to over 99% of the population. Now they appear to want to expand their authoritarian reach with a group of experts that are extremely radical leftists. The chairwoman of the all-female group is Professor Mariana Mazzucato, who has stated the world may be forced into climate lockdowns. And just to pause there for a moment, that came out in February or so, that they wanted to start these climate lockdowns every 2 years.
Yeah. They were like rolling, weren't they? There'd be like a 2-week rolling lockdown, then they would move to another area, move to another.
Right. They just wanted to shut the economy down and in rolling lockdowns. So among those joining her on the committee are economists. Stephanie Kelton, who is the #1 promoter of massive government spending. She argues that deficits don't matter and has written a book on her view, The Deficit Myth. I discussed the errors in her thinking, problems with modern monetary theory. A comment on Stephanie Kelton's The Deficit Myth. Sine Fisaya, and I don't know if I'm pronouncing these right, is a member of the Lancet Site Commission on Peaceful Societies Through Health and Gender Equality. Member Vanessa Hong is a graduate of Brown University who also studied at the Queer Women of Color Media Arts Project, contributed to the essay collection Captive Genders, Trans Embodiment of the Prison Industrial Complex. And Kate Raworth is known for her work on donut economics, which she explains is an economic model that balances between essential human needs and planetary boundaries. I don't believe that I have ever seen such a radical group in such a position of influence, global power in a hands-on way. Don't for a moment be fooled by the name of the group, which indicates that it is about economics or health for all. This group will interpret everything in the economy as needing to be controlled for the health of all. If the power freaks at the World Economic Forum wanted a key front group to launch major parts of the Great Reset, they couldn't do much better than these radicals with the heavily Bill Gates funded WHO as their global vaccine or global vehicle of influence. Their first meeting was Thursday.
It's a big deal.
Yeah, it's a short article, but there's a lot of information packed in there, and there's also links to various sources. For example, this global lockdown that climate lockdown that they're talking about. This first lady that they're talking about, Stephanie Kelton, The Deficit Myth, book that I guess a book that she wrote. That's the modern monetary theory, and of course the deficit. For example, Europe. The deficit in Europe is why it's why their bonds don't work anymore. It's why they're collapsing. So I'm not sure how that's a myth.
Well, she just says myths don't matter. So I guess to them, or myths don't matter. Deficits don't matter because they're just going to keep ratcheting it up. I mean, we're broaching 5 trillion now this year, and that's just the beginning. So
yeah,
but I mean, the more important thing is that these people, their job. One thing we have to. So some key words that people say now is equality, equity, and equality, and we have to understand that doesn't mean having the tools that you need to succeed, and where everyone has a fair share, whatever. These people, and I'm bringing this up because one of these people are with the Health and Commission for Peaceful Societies through Health and Gender Equality. What they mean by equality is destroying whatever is good to lift up, not to lift up, but to bring down everyone. It's not raising people up. So it's like trans person over here can't get the CEO position that he wants because you have it. Well, we get rid of you because that's equality. That's equity. And it's not even equality. They call it's equity.
Right.
So it's a big, these people are going at it full bore. We've talked about the Great Reset for 9-10 months now, and they're doing it. This is what this is all about. And, if people understand what these environmental lockdowns are, it's terrible. Basically, what they did with the virus was get us used to being shut down, doing what the government says, sucking our thumbs and changing our diapers at home while nothing happens. And now they're going to use it so that they can use it for environmental crap, for global warming. Because remember, Mike, we talked about this when Beijing was locked down or whatever, and we have no way of knowing if it was a normal day or if it was just a day. If it was really during the lockdown, we don't know when the picture was taken. But the way they were using it was, oh, look, Beijing, the dirtiest place in the world. You can't see 3 feet when they're running. Now they're locked down and the air is clean and the air is crisp. But what these people forget about is the earth is here for us, humans. You know what I mean? That's what it's here for. It's for us to live in, not to destroy ourselves so the earth can be, I don't know. You know what I mean? It just drives me nuts. But if you think they're not going to do this, absolutely. Because Biden is already using these same tactics in the Treasury Department. If you listen to Janet Yellen, she's talking about equity, equity, equity. And she just had a meeting this week also with world economic leaders and, world economic leaders. And she said, what we need to use the Treasury for is the fight for the environment. And she talked about rolling lockdowns and having lockdowns for the global warming and all that stuff too. So it's going to happen. It's going to happen. The difference is, are you going to follow it?
Right. Well, and there was
Wrong with it.
there was a was it the Montana Department of Commerce? I'll have to look it up again. But one of the states, I think it was Montana, they've decided they don't want to do. They want to stop the unemployment benefits because they can't get people to go back to work at this point. And so the states are finding that they can't survive. You know, states don't have the ability to print up money or like the Federal Reserve does, or like the ECB does, and so they can't fund themselves anymore because they don't have an economy functioning, and they want to shut down the payouts so they can get it going again.
Well, and I don't know if you saw the Commerce Department, the U.S. Commerce Department yesterday demanded that Biden stop the $300 extra bucks, whatever it is, immediately because no one is going back. If you look at the jobs report this week, new hires came in at 300,000. They were expecting over 1 million, and they're like, "Well, what's going on?" It's because no one's going back to work because 1 in 4 people are getting more money staying at home with that unemployment check than to go back to work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's kind of across the board. There's going to be shortages across the board. Even pilots. I saw that there's an expected shortage of pilots coming up because they would rather just take the early retirement and collect the unemployment or the retirement. And the nature of the job is so erratic that it's hard to find new people to go into it. And so they're expecting a shortage of pilots coming up, you know, along with the shortage of fuel coming up. So that's going to shut down travel in the near future.
Yep. This is exactly what they want. And I mean, the world government that is here, I mean, it's been here a long time. We always talk about the New World Order. Oh, when will the New World Order has been here for about 6,000 years. It's just been working on taking over. And it's got close, then it's failed. It's got close and it's failed. And it's got close and it's failed. And it's going to get close. And I predict ultimately it'll fail again, but not until, I mean, in the past when it's failed, there was a lot of hurting for you know, the little people like us. And it's not going to fail without hurting the little people like us again. But we got to stand up to it. I mean, you know, we've talked about having governors that are men instead of having, you know, their slip showing. And what's his name? Dumb Levy. He needs to man up and show that he's actually going to say no to these people. Is it an example where he took the state lands back? Maybe so. That's, you know, good for him. Took him back, for, you know, and he said that he's not going to mandate a vaccine. Great. Well, is he going to stick to his guns when the federal government says we're not giving you any of the road money? The $5 billion that you thought you were getting this year for your roads, we're not going to give it to you. I mean, there's an excellent article in Zero Hedge right now. People should go read it. ZeroHedge.com. You should read it every day at least 3 times a day. Spread it out through the day for the new articles that come out. But there's a new one. Let me find it because I need to talk about it. If I remember who I sent it to. Oh, yeah, here we go. The Biden administration, along with this, you know, they're working with big tech. We already know they have been, but they're working with big tech now to have basically a digital dictatorship. They already have rings, just like Lord of the rings that you can wear, and it's like a mood ring, but it's like having a Fitbit or an Apple Watch or something like that. It goes to whatever government organization, and they'll be able to use that to decide. And this was put in by Trump conservatives. This isn't a Biden thing. Trump's the one that put this together. It's basically called HARPA instead of DARPA. And what it is, they're going to experiment on how to keep us healthy and to stop pre-crimes. That was part of the red flag laws where Trump wanted to have this thing where, you know, if they decided you might harm yourself or someone else, they could just come in and basically throw you in jail. You know, screw the Fourth Amendment, screw all that kind of stuff. That was a Trump thing.
Mm-hmm.
And the way that they're trying to roll it out is, well, the next big thing we need to fight isn't just COVID-19. Now we need to fight cancer because cancer is the big deal. And they're going to use this stuff to basically enslave everyone. Try to.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to wear something so you know what you're doing. They're already doing it. If you're wearing all this crap, or besides your phones, all the stuff that you're putting, go to Zero Heads, read it. It's called the Biden proposal would make USA a digital dictatorship. They already look at everything that you're wearing. This article shows some stuff where they solve some crimes based on someone's Apple Watch or their. It's here and it's real, I guess, is what I'm trying to tell people.
Yeah, well,
it ain't going away.
That's not right. And it's not a new idea. They've been trying to do that for several years. They, for example, they wanted to put cameras in the seat backs of aircraft seats to monitor the passengers, to monitor their facial expressions, to see if they might be up to no good on the airplane.
Well,
same
Mike,
with
one of the other. I was just going to say one of the other things one of the things I didn't mention that they're using, and they're saying that they're using. Oh, that's one of the pre-crime things. Is the little Google, Alexa or whatever, your little speaker, interactive speaker that's in your home. They are literally listening to your conversations. Well, right. They're literally listening to your conversations, and they say that they are. The government says that they are with big tech, because they're using it to decide if you're going to commit a crime or not. And you might think, well, I'm not going to commit a crime, so I don't care if they listen to me. That's pretty foolish to think that way. Because in a world where you commit 3 felonies a day, no matter how good you are, you think that they can't find something if they want to find something. And it's pretty obvious they're on a hunt for conservative type folks. I imagine that counts libertarians. And I definitely know it counts anarchists. So, I mean, it's hard because we're so used to all this stuff. We've got to kick it out. We've got to get rid of it. It's not a game.
No, and I've seen how that's used. And I've seen personally how that's used. What they'll do is when they come to prosecute you, they're not going to say, so-and-so said this and here's the proof. What they do is they'll say something like, there was a conversation, or this person had a conversation regarding this subject, and that will be considered guilty. In the case that I observed, I had the text on paper, and I read the text. And in the warrants, what it says is this person was discussing a revolution against the government. Well, I read the text, and what the text was that person was actually saying, no, it's a bad idea. It will just make things worse. So yes, there was a conversation, but it was an implied lie. They're experts at carrying out implied lies inside in the warrants. They will implicitly lie about you, not explicitly. And since it's implicit, it doesn't get dismissed by the judge.
Right.
And so as long as they can say, oh, you had a discussion about such and such, they can imply that you were guilty. And so that's how they're going to use like the Alexa thing that you have in your house. Doesn't matter if you're guilty or not. It doesn't matter if you think you have something to hide or not. The fact is they can lie about you because they have some information. They can lie about the information. And that's a very important thing to remember. If you haven't been through that system, you don't understand it. But I've seen that system. I've been through that system. I've seen it. And that's how they use it.
Yeah, that's why we were talking last week about that gal down in Homer or whatever, Mike. She was absolutely crazy to turn over all of her digital stuff to laptops, phones, and everything. That was stupid. So stupid. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure she's a nice gal who thought, well, I haven't done anything wrong. What do I have to worry about? Welcome to the new world order, dummy.
That's the problem. She has a lot to worry about now that she's handed it over.
Probably get probably get this one will probably get kicked off of YouTube because I said New World Order. Damn it. Oh,
That's okay. We got BitChute, right?
Yep.
So, yeah, go to BitChute as your primary, if you can. Speaking of engineered crisis, there's another article out. Cyber attack forces shut down of largest gasoline pipeline in the United States, and it's the Colonial Pipeline that feeds the northeastern U.S. And is it just coincidence that pipeline that carries all that fuel to the northeast U.S. was shut down only a few days after CNN reported that there will be a massive shortage of fuel, of gasoline this summer? Do you think that's a coincidence? Or do you think that the hackers are really based in Langley, Virginia? They are totally setting people up. When they say, oh, there's going to be a shortage of this, oh, there's going to be a shortage of that, they intend for there to be a shortage. And so that's the thing to prepare for.
Yeah, we talked a little bit last week, I think, Mike, where we were reading some pretty in the know industry folks. I don't remember if it was Bank of America, but they're expecting food prices to go up 73% this year, before the end of this year, by third quarter. Mm-hmm. And just to go along with what you're saying, they are creating a crisis. They know there's a crisis. There's a reason why they want people sitting on their butt at home getting $3. I mean, a lot of these little jobs are the little jobs that you need to make bigger jobs happen, right? Components and little things like that. Or just getting a hamburger down at the store, or getting the fuel, or getting those things are starting to go away, and they're creating the crisis because as soon as they do, Americans showed that, well, the whole world showed them, but Americans definitely showed them that we'll just say, yes, master, tell us what we're supposed to do, and we'll go into the night, go sit in our house for however long they tell us, and whine and cry about it. Mm-hmm. And it's exactly what they want. God, I can't stand it. We better talk about something. Are we at the break yet? I'm going to go nuts here.
You got...
we're just sitting here while they're doing this. It drives me nuts. But what can we do about it? Let's talk about what we can do. And we'll open the phones up in the next hour. People have ideas, but I think we have a few ideas of things we can do. It doesn't even matter if the state of Alaska does anything. It'd be nice to have them on our side, but, if they don't want to be, screw him.
Yeah, I'm not sure if there's not much we can do on an individual basis, even going on the radio and warning people. And people have done that for years. The only people who are going to listen to you are the people who are already looking at those issues.
But maybe they'll talk to some. I know, but you just got to hope that one more person is better than that person not turning.
Yeah.
Every person that comes around to the truth is better than not.
Well, that's the break. Back in a few minutes.
Right.
The source for local news and information. Sponsored by American Tire and Auto. KFAR 97.5 FM and 660 AM Fairbanks, Alaska.
Turning a dismal jobs report into an opportunity. I'm Joe Chiro, Fox News. White House officials believe last month's weaker than expected job growth is reason to pass the president's spending proposals. Fox's Mark Meredith reports.
The president is using the jobs report to double down on his calls with Congress to pass two massive spending bills next week. Two major meetings on the books, one with congressional leaders from both parties. The second is going to be with Republican senators that are working with the White House on a broad infrastructure package that would still spend a lot of money to repair roads, bridges, but spend a lot less than what the president has been proposing.
Economists had expected 1 million jobs to be added last month, but the government reported only 266,000. America's largest oil pipeline forced to shut down because of a cyber attack. Colonial Pipeline says the hack was discovered yesterday. The pipeline stretches from Texas to New York and is responsible for nearly half of all fuel on the East Coast. The hack is under investigation. New York Governor Andrew Cuomo's communications director is is resigning as the state's attorney general expands an investigation.
The Wall Street Journal today claiming that the state attorney general's office has expanded the sexual harassment investigation against Andrew Cuomo to also include claims that one of his advisors linked vaccine access to support for the governor. As criticism of the governor grew in March, advisor Larry Schwartz had made calls to officials asking them if they would demand Cuomo's resignation. Schwartz, however, argues that he never tied that conversation with vaccine distribution. The vaccine czar stepped down at the end of last month.
Fox's Alex Hogan. Cuomo's office has not commented on the report. A bomb explosion near a girls' school in West Kabul, Afghanistan, has killed at least 30 people, many of them young students. The Taliban has condemned the attack and denied any responsibility. America is listening to Fox News.
From the Fox News Podcasts Network. Stay on top of the latest news and information from Fox News. Listen and download the Fox News Hourly Update on your time. The trending stories you need anytime you want it. Listen and download now by going to foxnewspodcasts.com. From the Fox News Podcasts Network.
What are the most important issues facing Americans today? Every Monday, join me, Brett Baer, chief political anchor and executive editor of Special Report, and my rotating all-star panel of experts as we discuss the policies, practices, and solutions to the biggest and most important issues of the day. You can hear new episodes every Monday. Subscribe now at foxnewspodcast.com or wherever you download podcasts.
The Fox News Rundown is a weekday morning podcast that dives deep into the major and controversial stories of the day. Hosted by the anchors of Fox News Radio. Subscribe now to hear a perspective of news you won't find anywhere else. Listen now by going to foxnewspodcasts.com.
An uproar over a DA's decision to no longer pursue the death penalty for a California couple charged with killing a 10-year-old boy. Fox's Matt Finn reports.
Prosecutor with the LA County District Attorney's Office is blasting DA George Gascon's decision this week to no longer seek the death penalty in a case against the woman and her boyfriend. And the couple had been charged with the 2018 murder of Anthony Avalos with special circumstances that would have qualified for the death penalty. Abuse amounting to torture, including allegedly whipping the boy, repeatedly dropping him on his head, and pouring hot sauce on his face and in his mouth. In 2019, the former DA decided no circumstances were severe enough. They would seek the death penalty in this case, but now in another instance of Gascon's sweeping criminal justice policy changes, his office announced the death penalty will no longer be pursued against the couple.
The maximum sentence now for the couple would be life in prison without parole. German Chancellor Angela Merkel says that if COVID cases keep declining in Europe, vacations abroad should be possible this summer. The EU is developing a vaccine certificate that would be valid throughout Europe. It's being billed as the concert to reunite the world. Vax Live airs tonight.
The pre-tape concert, Vax Live, the concert to reunite the world at SoFi Stadium in Los Angeles before an audience of vaccinated frontline healthcare and essential workers, airs on ABC, ABC News Live, CBS, Access TV, and Hulu at 8 Eastern. The event was hosted by Selena Gomez and included musical performances by Jennifer Lopez, Eddie Vedder, Foo Fighters, J Balvin, and her, and celebrities Chrissy Teigen, Jimmy Kimmel, Gayle King, and Sean Penn. It was designed to inspire vaccine confidence. Prince Harry and Meghan Markle are serving as campaign chairs for the event, which aims to get financial commitments for vaccines and medical tools and supplies. Michelle Polino, Fox News.
And I'm Joe Chiro, Fox News.
Hi, break time? I know you. I'm Cologuard, a prescription colon cancer screening option for people 45 plus at average risk. It seems like you take care of yourself.
I do. I play tennis. I try to eat well.
What about screening for colon cancer?
Not yet.
Don't wait. Colon cancer is more treatable when it's caught in early stages.
Tell me more.
Cologuard is non-invasive and is used at home. It detects altered DNA in your stool to find 92% of colon cancers.
92%?
Yep, even those in early stages.
This was seen in a clinical study with patients 50 and older. Any positive result should be followed by a diagnostic colonoscopy. False positive and negative results may occur. Cologuard is not a replacement for colonoscopy in high-risk patients. Do not use if you have had adenomas, have inflammatory bowel disease and certain hereditary syndromes, or a personal or family history of colon cancer.
Most insured patients pay $0. Ask your provider or an online prescriber if Cologuard is right for you, or visit requestcologuard.com.
I'm on it.
Excellent.
Are you sick of being inside and really ready for all that summer has to offer? Well, maybe you are, but what about your vehicle? Whether it's your everyday daily driver or your boat truck, having a breakdown during the warm months just wastes precious time. Take your vehicle over to Expressway Auto and have them perform a pre-summer check to ensure that you can make the most out of the weeks ahead. But book your appointment now before everyone else does. Get your car or diesel truck ready for summer at Expressway Auto. Call 888-659-0631 today. Expressway Auto in North Pole.
As the days get longer, Alaskans look forward to more opportunities to get outdoors. Whether you're hitting the trails on your snow machine, skiing in the backcountry, or just going for a scenic drive, Alaska has something for everyone. When accidents happen and you've been injured, the attorneys at Berglund & Doxy are here to discuss your options for getting fair compensation. Berglund & Doxy, born and raised in Fairbanks, and over 45 years of combined legal experience. Contact them at 456-4020 or online at berglunddoxy.com. Consultations by video conference platforms are also available. Back in the gold rush days, prospectors flooded into the interior to make their fortunes in the shiny yellow metal. It was hard work. Tools and supplies were shipped up by riverboat, then out to the mines on rough-cut trails. There was a lot of waiting involved. Nowadays, all you have to do is walk into Century Hardware. That's how it works. Your job done. Yes. Century Hardware. What you need right now.
Very consistent. In 40 years, the Fairbanks Ear, Nose, and Throat Clinic has taken care of thousands of patients cared for by our team of professionals and community programs we support. Fairbanks, the best you can do. We're open and ready to serve you right now for any ailments of the head, neck, ear, sinus, or throat. To book an appointment or to find out more, you can log on to fairbanksent.com or call 456-7768. Fairbanks Ear, Nose, and Throat Clinic, building community, helping people, changing lives.
That's a lot of TP talk.
They don't take that game, and sometimes
right now
it's fortune.
Word.
So
we got an increase.
We go out in the world and take our chances. Fate is just the weight of circumstances. That's the way that Lady Lark dances. Roll the bones. Roll the bones. Why are we here? Because we're here. Roll the bones. Roll the bones. Why does it happen? Because it happens. Roll the bones.
And we're back. Is there Josh?
Yep. I am here.
You were talking about how depressing it was. But I don't know if is it really depressing, or is it just an interesting challenge to break away from the normal?
Well, I think it's
Or
not
is this
so much
normal?
depressing on what. Yeah, I don't think it's depressing on what bad people want to do. They've been trying for a long time. It's depressing that so many good people just are obeying so readily.
Yeah, and when you try to give them information, they fight so easily against you.
Yeah, that's kind of disappointing too. I mean, sit there and show them over and over. Well, see, we said this was gonna. We've been talking about it. It's gonna happen.
Right, and the white coat syndrome, of course, is just horrific. There was a Jimmy Kimmel clip a couple of days ago. It came, or actually yesterday, it came out, and it's just a bunch of it's like 4 doctors and nurses telling people to shut the F up and take their vaccine. And because they know better. They know better than you or anyone else.
Right.
Of course, the white coats have always known better. They're the ones who came up with the cranial science. Oh, if your eyes are spaced a certain amount, you're a criminal. And the white coats have always come up with bad theories that turned out to be bogus in the end. The white coats once said Marlboro cigarettes are preferred by all doctors.
Right.
And that was the 50s.
Camel too.
Yeah, Camel cigarettes. So just because they're wearing a white coat doesn't mean anything, except that people will follow them. Like in the Milgram experiments. Yeah, like in the Milgram experiments. Wear a white coat. People will do whatever you say. It's kind of like a fluorescent vest.
I think that it goes back to Americans have for so long had quote unquote rule of law beat into their face constantly. Rule of law, nation of laws, rule of law, that anybody that talks with authority, because we're taught in public, we're taught from day one, obey authority. And that's fine. You should obey your authority, but who has authority over you? That's the problem. Just because some guy wears a badge, some guy wears a white coat, some guy gets elected president, doesn't mean he has authority over you. It just drives me nuts. Now, they might have a gun, and I understand people say, well, I didn't want to get shot. That's fine. That's commendable. But people are just going along without even saying no. They can't even say no anymore. And they're sitting there, they know what they're doing is wrong. They know what they're being told is stupid and outrageous. And we've known that. At least 50% of Americans have known that for the last year. And 10% are saying no. 5% are saying no.
Well, actually, there are a fair number of people saying no to the vaccine.
Yeah.
And that's I think that's why they're pushing so hard for the vaccine passports right now. That was always the plan, to do vaccine passports.
Right, which have nothing to do with vaccines.
No, it's a backdoor to control. How go back 10 years? I mean, how are they going to make us have a special pass to go into buildings or to go to events? How are people going to accept that? And they've accepted it so readily. In fact, there was a survey in Germany that just came out. 2/3 of Germans believe that the lockdown policies right now are either a good thing or they're not strong enough. 40% think that they're a good thing and that they should continue, and then another 23% think they're not strong enough, and only 1/3 of the population is upset about them at all.
Right.
And so you think about who has authority over you, and in the system that we have, like you're pointing out, the president, who elected the president. Well, it wasn't the majority of people. The majority of people didn't actually vote, and who of the people who did vote, is pretty clear it was a rigged election. And even if it wasn't a rigged election, and most people did vote and voted for Biden, then your authority is those other people. Is that
I don't
really
consent.
you want to
I
live
didn't
in?
vote for him.
Right.
I mean, this whole thing, why do you have to have someone in authority over you? Just because a person says, well, I'm the authority. Says who? I mean, why? Why do people so insane about having someone tell them what to do, or knowing that there's someone there to protect them? I mean, that's what it comes down to. Everyone's scared out of their underwear. They need authority to protect them from all the boogeymen out there. And so what does the government do? It creates boogeymen. It creates COVID-19. It creates climate change. It's going to create all those crazy anti-vaxxers that are killing everyone. And that's what authority creates.
It does. Well, we have a call. You want to take the call?
Absolutely.
Okay. Hello, you're on there.
Hi. So just to change the subject kind of quickly, I don't know if you guys have been paying attention to the unemployment versus need for employment rates that are going on here in town.
I don't know what the numbers are.
Well, I can't give you numbers, but I know that it is something that's being discussed at the state level as to why there's such a labor shortage, and if the money that people are given for being on unemployment is contributing to that. And I think, well, yes, it is doing that, but it's a wonderful opportunity to get people who are either have felony convictions or are homeless or jobless for whatever reason, an opportunity to re-enter the workforce if they so choose.
Yeah.
I really feel like we are wasting these resources of these people that are out on the street panhandling every year when they could be contributing to society in whatever shape that would look like.
A lot of them just don't want to, though.
Yeah, and
I mean, in today's world, a lot of people, not everyone, but a lot of people choose the lifestyle. That's it.
Well, I speaking with people who are chronically homeless, there's one of my neighbors was formerly homeless, and I was talking to him about what changed his life around, and a good portion of that is God. But what also helps is having his own house, his own place to call his own, that he could do with, whatever he chose. So I feel like we could really address the homelessness issue here in Fairbanks specifically if we take all these empty houses, which you drive down any street and you'll see an abandoned house. Those are just eyesores and, places that are just going to rot away, and change them into places that the chronically homeless can feel like are theirs. And maybe it'll help them get off the streets. It's something that Rhode Island's had really good success for the past 20 years doing.
I'm all for it if it's like a church organization or private organization or something like that. But, I mean, I'm not going to ask. I definitely wouldn't ask the state of Alaska or the city of Fairbanks or anything like that to get involved, because they don't know how to not have some attached. Nothing good comes from those people.
The government's the worst person to handle the homelessness issue, but it's something that I don't feel like is being addressed at the Fairbanks level as a whole. I don't hear much about what to do about the chronically homeless. I just hear people complaining, oh, look at all the panhandlers, or oh, look at all these empty houses. So,
well, I think that's part of that. I don't know. It's just, yeah, you're right. Churches have not addressed the homeless situation in Fairbanks. You're absolutely right. And they need
I just
to.
feel like if you're going to complain about the homeless, do something about it. Be
I
involved.
thought they were all going to die this last year from COVID. I can't believe any of them survived it.
Have you noticed
doesn't
that
make any sense.
the homelessness has gotten worse in the past 5 years? I've noticed a significant increase in the amount of panhandlers and campsites here in Fairbanks. Fairbanks has got to be the worst place to be homeless.
That's that equity to bring about. They are working on it. They ain't gonna be happy until everybody's homeless.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's and when it comes to, for example, the panhandlers, not all of them are homeless. I remember I picked one up. He was a hitchhiker. I picked him up on the Richardson to bring him into town one day. This is like 4 years ago. And I dropped him off at the Pizza Hut over on College Road across from Sam's Club at Costco now, and talked to him for a little bit. And he was on his way to go panhandle, but he talked about his apartment.
Mm-hmm.
And then also I talked to a homeless guy at the transfer site by the university years ago, and he was homeless. He lived near the transfer site behind it, and he collected what he needed from there. But he was homeless by choice. He came back from Vietnam. He learned about the Federal Reserve and the monetary system, and he decided he just didn't want any part of it. So he decided to be homeless and not partake in the economy.
Right, and that's their decision. You know, nobody can make that choice for somebody.
Right.
That has to be a decision that they make. But I feel like we can do better as Fairbanksons with providing resources and houses and jobs I had this poor lady whose son got a DUI who's worried for the rest of his life. He's never going to be able to find a job because he made a bad decision when he was young. We need not to penalize people who make terrible decisions and constantly say you're not good enough because you have a felony.
Mm-hmm.
I think the state, the government, and the federal government, that they create homelessness. I think they create it. There's land. There's a crazy amount of available dormant land, resources just sitting there. They're the ones who create scarcity.
All right. Well, sorry to distract you from your topic.
Oh no. Let's see. Are you hearing Nameless there?
No,
Caller?
I can't hear.
Oh,
no.
Got a board issue then. Yeah, he was pointing out that the state creates the homelessness because there's so much land that's locked up that they can't get to, for example. So,
and who are they to lock up the land? Who is one human being to lock up all this land?
So yeah, there is a homelessness issue, I guess, around Fairbanks. Some of them by choice, some of it not. But you can't. I think the worst thing to do is to call upon the state to solve the problem. They always end up making the problem worse. And
right.
Right. They create the problem and then they make it worse with their supposed solution. So it's on an individual basis. I mean, if someone wants to see things improve for the homeless, best thing to do is to go out there and be the one to do it.
It's just difficult for me as an individual to do anything other than give them money, which actually doesn't really help them to not be chronically homeless or to continue to panhandle. It's better if an organization or churches come together to help with a larger pool of resources than what individuals can do. I agree that the government isn't the solution, but getting a bunch of churches or a group of individuals together to tackle this would be a huge enterprise, and I wouldn't even know what the logistics of that would look like.
Mic on?
Yeah, I don't know. I really don't.
I think we have to identify the problem. You know, what is the problem? What's creating it?
Right. Well, it's mostly, with the people I've spoken to, there's a lot of issue with drugs and people choosing drugs over employment or drugs over family or drugs over anything. And the way Rhode Island has chosen to solve it is by getting them in houses without being sober. And then, once they're in a house, they surround them with all these mentors and people who provide drug treatment, and they've had a great deal of success doing it that way.
I think that's a problem, but I don't think that's the main problem. To me, I think the main problem is that you have this entity who claims all the land in the world is their own.
Well, yeah, I mean, that doesn't help.
I mean, these people could do drugs and have land and do that, so they wouldn't be homeless. There's so much land in Alaska, it's ridiculous. It's probably, I think you divided it up, there's probably like 1,500 acres per person or something. But there's homelessness here? It's ridiculous.
No, I agree that it should be something that is brought to a referendum, and the citizens of Alaska decide whether or not we want to reclaim that land that was given to us by Alaska when we became a state. When we were a territory, we had
it was given to us by that. I think it was given to us by God.
Well, I mean, that was taken from us when we became a state versus versus being a territory. I think taken's a much more accurate description.
I do too. But if people had land and they had a place to go and they had resources to do things with, maybe there'd be less of a problem. I'm not saying it's going to end all homelessness or this or that, but I bet you'd put a big old dent in it.
No, I agree. I agree it would, but you're talking at a more higher level issue than I am. I'm more trying to see what we can do with the current homeless population and get them moving in a direction that benefits them.
I think people have been like working on it, doing things, and the thing is, these organizations and these good people who try to do something, they're working within this system, but the system is rigged against us.
Yeah.
So, instead of just freeing up this land, now like organizations got to go, make money, buy houses, go to the bank, do this, do that, and when the only thing really needed is free up the land and the people.
Right. What would that look like? How would you, in a practical sense, how would you
I think that would look like
seize that land
1820
back?
or 1860, or like when homesteading was the thing across this country. I think that's what it would look like. People now have something to do. They have a place to go. They have land to work. They have incentives to improve their life.
Yeah, if you think about how much, if you added, so if we didn't part of this nonsense of states and federal governments owning land, and it went to people, human beings are supposed to own this earth, not government. So if human beings had the opportunity to go out and go forth and reproduce or whatever, dominate the earth, not dominate, but get rid of the state. Imagine opening up every bit of land in the United States and every bit of land in Alaska to be homesteaded like it's supposed to be.
Yeah, well, there's
What would
I guess
that create?
To Dunleavy's credit, he was or is proposing to do a little bit of that.
Yeah.
So we'll see how that goes.
Thank you for your time.
Thanks. Yeah, thanks for calling.
That's what I would like to see as far as solutions and this and that. I would like to see Alaska be a bastion of freedom.
Mm-hmm.
All that's needed is people to get out of the way. All these regulators or megalomaniacs who think they know best, all these moral busybodies who actually turn out to be morally insane. They just need to get out of the way. They just need to get out of the way. And Alaska could be a bastion of freedom in a very, very dark time. That's what I think.
Hello, caller, you're up.
This is Lloyd Hilling. Howdy.
Hey, Lloyd. I've listened to you guys a bit. I enjoy it very much and find it very interesting and enlightening in a great degree, even though I'm your retrograde libertarian type. I
We like those people.
Well, of course you do, but I'm not suggesting that you don't like me. I'm just suggesting that you probably consider me in error of believing in government. But I actually suspect in my heart that anarcho-capitalism is the answer. That is a society where kids grow up understanding that they're not just that they're absolutely responsible for themselves, but by the culture would develop a culture of voluntary charity that would hopefully be sufficient for people who truly cannot help for themselves and all of that. Murray Rothbard is such a genius. I really appreciate it. I just don't think by the end of my life I can come over to be convinced of it, although I'm almost there. As a libertarian, of course, I believe the sole dictum is that government's sole purpose is to protect life, liberty, and property, and that beyond that. But of course, any government like that could not help but encroach. Throughout history, there's not a chance that a libertarian government, properly formed, in my opinion, could restrain a populace who will bring that government to the left and to collectivism.
Yeah. We are essentially anarcho-capitalist, and that that doesn't mean that we necessarily disagree. I don't know that we could ever get to a fully a real anarcho-capitalist society. It's kind of an idea.
Million years. Time after time, societies rise and fall. There may be some point in future history where we might luck into a paradigm like that. It's quite possible. In fact, if we keep on destroying the planet, it's very likely, it's almost a certainty, at some point in time, there will come upon the earth that sort of institution. At least that's my thought.
Yeah, and that would be great. It's the way I see it. You and I might have a little disagreement here or there, but we're both trying to move things in the same direction, and therefore we're close allies. So I don't see it as though we disagree.
Well, of course we are. No, I'm just having a little fun talking about how I know how you feel about the philosophy, anything that has government, or as you've been discussing interestingly, the authority. Who the hell put all these people in the world over me, or the people in this country? How dare they? Who are they to tell me what to do? And of course, my answer is, well, we need an institution that stops their behavior from encroaching on my natural rights, blah blah blah. But anyway.
Yeah,
I would love to have I would jump up and down if we could have a Lockean type government, the way he talked about. I'll take it.
Even though you might be skeptical that it could be held on to, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm. I don't think it can be held on to, but I'm willing to start over and over and over and over.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's what we have to do. We have to start over.
That's right. That's right. Somehow, some way, and now we're heading to absolute disaster with the current state of affairs in Washington D.C., etc., and the culture of the country. And it's an absolute. And now you guys express your opinion. I'm about up to McDonald's window, but give me your opinion about whether or not the situation now is hopeless, and I do mean hopeless. You tell me what's to stop us from continuing to lurch to the left. And with the immigration being far left people that are immigrating, which is I've actually lived in Mexico, and I know how severe it is by the Marxist and/or leftist paradigm there. You go ahead and shout it out. I got to go. Okay, thanks. Bye.
Thanks for calling in again.
Thanks for calling. Yeah, and sometime if you call back another show or whenever, I'd like to hear about your experience living in Mexico too.
We need to have him in the studio.
Yeah, we ought to. Yeah, if you want to come to the studio, give us a call sometime. Or send us an email, Michael@patriotslament.com, or Joshua or Josh?
I think it's Joshua.
Joshua@patriotslament.com.
Yeah. So is there any hope, Mike? It's hopeless.
I don't want to say it depends on what you're looking at, what goal you're looking at.
Right. What are we defining? What's hopeless? Or what is at loss? The United States of America as we knew it last year or the last 200 years, it's hopeless. It's done.
The United States of America is gone. 15 years from now, it won't be here anymore. It'll be factions. And who knows what those will look like. Klaus Schwab wants them to be integrated into a world government. Will he succeed? I don't think he'll succeed. I think he's going to fail.
Well, the thing is, almost everyone in the government wants a world government. The higher levels of power. You think the United Nations, the people there, wouldn't just love to have all these little, make the United States just a governing body, right? Instead of a country. No, it's just like one of our factions over here, and they want to rule the world. And well, I think it's hopeless just because it's always hopeless for things like this to stay together. It's definitely not hopeless for people.
No, and that's the thing.
That's why we're on the air saying, hello, this is going to happen. Do you own any gold? Do you own at least 1 ounce of silver? Can you take care of yourself for a week without the government? Because here it comes. Because when the government has the soup lines this time, they're going to have qualifications for you to get in the soup line. It's not going to be like it was in the 1920s and 30s where you just got in line and you got your food. It's not like last year where you got to get in your car and go sit in your car all day to get, food for the day from the government. No, they're not going to do that. They're going to have requirements. Oh, you want this? Where's your mark? I threw that in for Scott.
Well, that's what it is, brother. That's what it's all about. They're bringing about that mark of the beast, Holmes. And all these people are just Satan's plaything. That's what they are. Yeah, it's hopeless for you if you're going to allow yourself to be Satan's plaything. It's absolutely hopeless. But if you're not going to allow yourself to be Satan's plaything, it is not hopeless. And it will never be hopeless.
And that's always been true, right? I mean,
always.
Yeah, that's always been
That's
true.
why we're still here. That's why there's still humans on the planet.
I think we tend to get oftentimes we tend to get too fixated on ourselves as part of that system, and therefore we feel hopeless, rather than looking at ourselves as individuals and how can we survive or even benefit. I mean, if you're talking about like benefit, we're in the beginning of a commodity boom. So look at potential investments there. I mean, that sounds heartless. Oh, let's profit off of the food shortage coming up. Well, go look up some grain ETFs and see how they look. Maybe there's an opportunity there for you. But if you look at yourself as woe is we, as part of the system, then yeah, it's hopeless for you.
Yeah, and I think spending a lot of extra time or any time right now, normally when you get that question, what should we do, or is it hopeless and stuff? And I don't mean from the call because I know where he's coming from, but usually it's, is it hopeless? Can we make America great again? Can we keep the union? Will the union survive? I mean, that's what everyone talks about. No, it's hopeless for the union. Yeah, it is. Who cares? Let it fall. It needs to. It's been mass murdering people across the world for the last 100 years. Mass murdering people. I mean, 10, 15, 20, 30 million people? Who knows how many people the United States government has murdered? I'd like to see it go away. I don't care if that means the United States has to fall. Bye-bye.
More people died from the vaccine, the so-called vaccine, than died in 9/11. And more people died of the so-called vaccine already in just a few short months than died in Pearl Harbor.
Yeah, isn't that crazy? You had 3,000 people die in Pearl Harbor in 9/11, and after 9/11, they clamor for protection from another terrorist attack, so they don't die. Yet they beg for the vaccine that's killed even more people than 9/11 did. And that's just using the official numbers for the VAERS reporting. The VAERS reporting is only like it's estimated 1 to 10% of events are reported.
And we're only 4 months in.
We ain't seen nothing yet.
Yeah.
We're only 4 months in, and if I remember, Mike, correct me if I'm wrong, but when the Moderna, was it? No, not Moderna. One of those jerks was doing their testing. They didn't really see the effects, the bad effects, till like month 5, I thought. I mean, yeah, we're having these things, like the clotting and stuff like that. But
yeah, if you want to see, actually, there's Del Bigtree. You know who Del Bigtree is, right? He has the website, the Highwire.
Oh.
Highwire.com. And he had some guests on. One of them I've talked about on the show before, Sean Skelton Bedelia, as well as 2 others that she communicates with. And you can go on there, look at her last video, what they don't want you to see, or his last video, what they don't want you to see. And you'll see the side effects that can be caused by this shot. And you've probably seen the famous videos of people shuddering and having nervous system issues, can't walk, Okay, that's them. So look that up and take a look at that and then see what you think of it. Hello, you're up.
Yes. Good show. I was a little worried there when I turned on my radio at 9:30 and you weren't on.
Yeah, I don't know what happened there. That something on the radio station carried over, and I don't know what was going on.
I was sitting there going, "Oh no, they took them off."
Not yet.
No. A couple funny items though. I'm very anti-vax myself. I know a little bit of the history of the vaccines, and it's quite amusing. Just on a side note, my cousin was down in Pennsylvania, and he's works for a contractor, and he's at one of the home improvement stores, Home Depot, I think it is. And right on the floor, they got a big old "You must wear your mask," sticker. And then right in the fine print, it says, even if you have the COVID shot, gotta wear your mask.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm telling him it's just trying to drive a wedge in between everybody. If we're all masked and staying 6 feet apart, we can't get together and talk about how we're all being screwed.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good way to just ostracize somebody right out of the community because they don't wear a mask.
Yep.
Of course, I just ignore the sign and no one says anything to me.
Well, I think.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, I think the federal government messed up a little bit as far as wanting people to get their vaccine because, people were taking the vaccine and then they ran out and said, "Oh, remember, you have to wear your mask. You have to still socially distance even though you're vaccinated." So people are going, then why did I do this? Why did I take the risk of doing this? So they kind of messed up.
Why
That's
did
why
I
I
become a
think.
GMO?
Yeah, right. Why am I now part of the GMO experiment?
A couple other quick anecdotes. My cousin, he's anti-mask, and him and a female friend of his are walking into a store, and they have the "You must wear a mask" sign up, and she's a little bit more easily swayed than he is, and she gets on him about not wearing his mask, and he looks at her and goes, "It's my body and it's my choice."
Yeah, exactly.
He walks out of a gas station and there's this couple making out with their masks on.
What?
Yes, kissing with their masks on.
Kamala Harris and her husband.
Yeah. Yeah, he's like, if that's the way I'm going to have to live from now on, I don't know if I want to live anymore.
Well, unfortunately, there's been a rash of that where people have been feeling that way.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just driving around Fairbanks the other day. People driving their car by himself, wearing their mask.
Yep. I saw a guy up there.
Lawnmower like that.
I saw a guy up there before I came down to Idaho. He was wearing he was in his car by himself, windows up, double mask. I was at the light, and I'm like, yeah, there's a true believer. So,
somebody
is
should
there
have
any
told
hope?
him to put a couple of those alcohol disinfecting wipes in between his mask to double up on the protection.
Yes, I tried that.
He found his dead in his car, but
I tried that, and I wouldn't recommend it.
No, I remember that. I was laughing.
You tried that on air, right?
Yes. Anyway, I'm all for it. I think we should close down the old United States, and the states should go back to being their own individual sovereign nations again, and not have Big Brother, dictating what you will do, what you won't do, and when you'll do it.
Yep.
Sadly, I don't think that that's going to happen. The population are maybe 50 years ago, maybe. But not now. Everybody's too on the government dole. They're too washed at this point. They all get out of college, believe that socialism is the only way, and big government is there to be Big Brother, and nobody wants to take personal responsibility anymore for their own actions or to protect themselves. Somebody breaks into your house, well, you call the cops.
Mm-hmm.
When he breaks into my house, they're not going to be around anymore. They're just going to be another statistic of people who broke into somebody's house and then didn't make it out.
Yeah. Well, I think I hear what you're saying, and I generally agree. I'm just hopeful that some people will decide that they're not going to see. Like right now, I think most of it's like fairyland to them. Like even most people listen to the show probably like, yeah, that could happen, but probably not. That happens in Chile. That happens in Argentina. That might. But United States has been insulated for the since 1812. We've been insulated. And the only time we really had a good war was when we decided to kill ourselves and mass murdered 800,000 Americans in the United States. So we're always insulated. We don't have anyone that comes over and attacks us. I mean, we make up stuff, but they don't actually do that. So we just don't think anything bad can happen. So we made it through the virus. Yay. Oh, it was hard, but we made it through. And now everything's going to go back to normal. And that's the part we're trying to say. Nothing's going back to normal. Nothing's going back to normal. You have to readjust the way that your mind thinks. And you have to readjust it to think, I need to survive and I want my neighbors to survive. And if it's a choice between this United States government and human beings, I'll let the United States government go. See ya.
Yeah, I agree completely. I'm all for secession. I have been pushing people to get together with their neighbors, formulate a plan, come up with some kind of local idea what you're going to do and when you're going to do it and how you're going to do it. Communication is key. Food preservation is key. Growing food is key, because you can't rely on the stores to have what you need. And if we do suffer some kind of actual breakdown in society, we're only a few days out if trucks aren't rolling and the trains aren't rolling from not having any food. And there's not enough game to keep everybody fed. No. Then there aren't enough people who actually have the skills required to go out and survive in the woods by themselves. And so it's kind of a short stick issue. I mean, you either start getting ready now, or when it actually happens, you're going to be one of the raiders going around taking from those people who are prepared.
Yeah.
And generally, if they're prepared, chances are they're going to be expecting you too.
Well, yeah. Keep in mind there are people who make it their business to prepare to raid you.
Yeah.
I remember when I was being held hostage a decade ago. There was a guy in there. I was talking to him, and he was talking about his militia, and he had and the reason that they existed, his intent was when everything goes down, they were just going to go around and break into people's houses and steal their food.
Yeah.
And that's why they created their militia. They have no intent of helping anyone, of preparing for it themselves. They just want to go raid someone's house.
Right.
And so there are those people around.
Right. Now on a positive note, Sun Tzu said the few are those that await the many. Mm-hmm. So when you go pick on somebody on ground of their choosing, and you come to them, chances are you're not going to fare as good as you think you are going to. Mm-hmm. But no, I just want to encourage everybody to talk to people, to formulate a plan. Gardening season's about ready to kick off. I heard something about there's going to start being gas shortages. I know there's a quail chicken shortage going on. Mm-hmm. Try to find gun parts, for instance, right now online. That's almost impossible. Mm-hmm. Try to find ammo even. That's ridiculous. Yeah. Of course, anybody who knew anything, I think, was stocked up on those items quite a while ago. Mm-hmm. At least I hope they were.
Yeah,
and you can't find primers, you can't find powder, you can't find cartridges, you can't find no reloading equipment. Hard even to find boots and shoes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they haven't really even messed with that yet. The feds haven't. I mean, it's as far as weapons and stuff, because I don't know. I'm kind of surprised they haven't rolled anything out, but I imagine they're just waiting. Maybe they're waiting for this last Supreme Court case that's up. But I think it's going to be a lot harder to get ammo because they're going to tax it. I mean, I don't know why
put expiration dates on it.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Another interesting thing, just before I go, is all these mass, quote, public shootings that we've been having since our buddy Joe took office.
Yeah.
And I use that term loosely. But that gives a good excuse to start pushing gun legislation through.
Yep.
And all it really would have took in most of those situations would have been one armed civilian who was carrying concealed, who could have just put an end to it as soon as it started, instead of having to wait until the law shows up.
Yeah, and that's kind of catching on. Texas, I think, just passed the no permit carry.
Yeah,
which is good.
Yep.
Yeah, well, Alaska's had it for like 20 years, right?
Right.
If I remember, it was a Democrat who actually pushed that through.
Well, there were days when the Democrats weren't so bad, but I don't like Democrats. I don't like Republicans. They're all riding the same chariot, if you ask me.
Yeah.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Switzerland's got over 200 political parties, and parties are born and die all the time. I figure maybe if I had 200 parties to choose from, there might be one that actually represents the way I feel about a subject. But
yeah, no joke. It's pretty hard when they give you two choices, which
right,
isn't
well,
a choice. No, we gave you two. That's not a choice. I want to pick who I want. No, you have to.
Right. Well, to quote Stalin, he said, "Let the people vote. I'll do the counting."
Huh.
All right. Have yourselves a good one. Appreciate the show. Thanks much. Bye-bye.
Later. Yeah, both parties really believe the same thing. They believe in massive deficit spending. They just argue over what if they want to spend it on.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
No, they don't even argue what they want to spend it on. They argue where they want to spend it. The Republicans want to spend it on controlling people overseas, and the Democrats want to spend it on controlling people at home.
So they just compromise and they say, let's control everybody.
Yeah, let's just control everyone.
Yeah. I don't know how to stress enough. I think this is going to be a really pretty important year to get your crap together.
Mm-hmm.
In any way that we've talked about, you've heard someone talk about anything, just get your stuff together. At least get your mind right.
Mm-hmm.
And some of you out there, you need to get your soul right. But got to get your mind right. You got to understand. I mean, we're in a perfect storm. I just don't know when it's been this great as far as the ability for a catastrophe to happen. I mean, last year, Mike, wasn't the World Health Organization telling us that they expected 150 to 200 million extra deaths from starvation this year because of the supply chain,
the breakdown.
The breakdown of the supply chain and the foods.
That they were complicit in.
Yeah, they cause.
Right.
Yeah.
Of course they do. Then you've got what food you're going to get. Well, partially just supply and demand if you don't have anything. And plus, Mike, we have trillions of dollars out there chasing fewer and fewer things.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to automatically get more expensive. I'm in Idaho, and these freaking people here think a little tiny box that has siding on it's worth $500,000. I'm not kidding. It's crazy. In a neighborhood. I'm not talking about you got to spread. So and I'm not picking on Idaho necessarily, but just for the example. So are the homes really valued that much, or are the dollars losing their value that much? Mm-hmm. Now here, a lot of it is people are moving in, the great migration. And I think it was somewhere around the government expects another 30% of Americans to move this year, and 40% moved last year.
Yeah, well, you're seeing supply inflation because of the shortages, like lumber. The dollar didn't lose 80% of its purchasing power, right. But the price of lumber's gone up 5 times, and so that's due to shortages. And then you have the price of homes going up because people can't. It's too expensive to build a house now. And then you have people moving into specific areas in large numbers, which drive the housing prices up, like into Florida, out of New York,
and Idaho. I think Idaho is the number one destination for people fleeing COVID states, lockdown states.
You have a lot. You have a lot of California moving there too.
Oh yeah, big time.
A lot of California.
They always have been, but they're definitely doing it now.
Well, didn't you notice that COVID killed all the trees? Trees aren't growing anymore anywhere.
Right, that's what I mean by having the perfect scenario. All these contrived or all these man-made shortages, purposeful shortages. Did COVID shut down the leather industry last year, or did government shut down the leather industry last year? COVID.
Right.
And in there, this is the thing. I don't know if I can articulate this well, but this is the thing.
You can if you don't bring that mic closer to your face. You sound like you're in a tin can.
All right, I'll try to remove the flip flop from my mouth, but
we got to sound like pros.
They have such audacity, these folks in governments and moral busybodies in general, that they believe they can bring about whatever they want to bring about, and they ignore natural law, like the natural law of cause and effect. And that's what we're seeing right now. Simply, the law of cause and effect.
That's also why they cannot succeed.
That's why they cannot
Ultimately.
succeed. And it's a reason that those who have eyes that can see and ears that they can hear have hope, because they're never going to get around the immutable natural law of cause and effect. They will fail. Yeah, people will suffer if they don't prepare. But if you do, you always have reason for hope.
Yep.
Well, we got 2 callers. Let's go to one of them.
You might get one.
We got 3 minutes. Go ahead, caller.
Hi, this is Randy.
Hey, Randy.
Hi there. I just hope people get a food supply. It's really easy to get them half-gallon cans of Augustin Farm food, that's good for 25, 30 years, freeze-dried, and bags of white rice, and that lasts a long time, not even in a package, just in a plastic trash can. And, I harken back to what you were saying, not like in the 30s getting in a soup line. I mean, getting in a soup line not only takes your whole day, half a day or whatever, but you were talking about then they're going to start putting conditions on you. You got to go to this re-education camp or wear this ankle bracelet or whatever, monitoring or whatever things they can come up with. So by all means, people should have a bunch of food. And also it's important to know the distinction regarding the word hoarding. Building up a supply is not hoarding, of course. That's just building up a supply because the more you buy, that stimulates more production. And as long as the shelves are filled, you are not hoarding. But if you decide to get your food when suddenly everything hits the fan and shelves are bare, then the government a tyrannical government could come out with edicts and laws against hoarding. You either go to prison or be shot on sight or whatever, they could come up with, calling you a quote unquote hoarder. So get your food now, and that is not hoarding. And when you have the food, you can even give out some to other people that need some. So that's the easy thing to do. That's a fundamental thing to do. So that's what I would say. And also regarding ammunition, what your other caller was saying, Alaska Ammo at the Benton Mall just a few days ago, they had a whole pallet of 7.62 times 3.9 ammunition. It was made in Russia, Wolf brand. And a couple months ago, I saw another big giant pallet of that same ammunition. Of course, it gets bought up, pretty soon, but
probably be gone in a couple hours.
What's that?
Probably be gone within a couple hours now, since you brought it up.
Yeah, this was a couple days ago that they had it there. I saw it sitting there. Anyway.
Okay. Well, thanks, Randy. We got to go to break.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks for calling, Randy. It's a good call.
From the American Tire and Auto Studio. If you need to know, you need KFAR 97.5 FM and 660 AM, Fairbanks, Alaska.
A major energy pipeline shut down by a cyber attack. I'm Joe Chiro, Fox News. Colonial Pipeline says it was targeted by a ransomware attack that forced it to temporarily shut down a pipeline that stretches from the Gulf of Mexico to New York. The company did not say what was demanded or by whom. Tennessee Republican Senator Marsha Blackburn is calling for improvements to the nation's energy infrastructure.
We have had a Department of Energy cybersecurity project at Oak Ridge Labs, and I've been pushing to bring all of our national labs into a consortium to work on this, because securing our nation's critical infrastructure is going to be an imperative because of these bad actors that are out there.
Energy analysts say the impact on fuel supplies and prices depends on how long the pipeline is shut down. Deportations have reached an all-time low as a record surge of new migrants and asylum seekers continues at the southern border. Fox's Bill Malusian in Del Rio, Texas.
Border Patrol reporting that just here in Del Rio in the past week alone, they've been averaging 740 apprehensions every single day. The local sheriff here telling us he's never seen it worse and that human smugglers have been taking advantage. A semi-truck that got pulled over by local police after folks out there reported seeing people in the back of the truck. Police pull it over and there were dozens of migrants in the back of that semi.
Customs officials report 162,000 migrants were detained in April, but about 30,000 got away. 3 people were dead, including a suspect, and 2 others are injured after a shooting and fire in Maryland. Baltimore County Police say officers found an armed man outside a burning home in Woodlawn and shot him. The fire damaged 2 other homes. America is listening to Fox News.
Jason in the House, the Jason Chaffetz podcast. There is always someone doing something stupid somewhere. Dive deeper than the headlines and the party lines as I take on American life, politics, and entertainment. Join me, Jason Chaffetz, every Wednesday as I shed light on the news and make some predictions along the way. You never know who will drop in. Subscribe now on foxnewspodcast.com or wherever you download podcasts.
Connect to Fox News Audio on the Fox News app. Listen to hear your favorite hosts like Brian Kilmeade, Jimmy Fallon, and Guy Benson standing up for what's right, live and via podcast. Just click listen, then swipe right and hear the latest news updates on your time. And scroll down to hear the latest podcasts from Fox News. And it's even easier to listen in the car with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. Get programming alerts and notifications. Fox News Audio is on the Fox News app. The voices America trusts. Download it now.
The Equality Act is stalling out in the U.S. Senate. Democrats had hoped they could pass the legislation creating new protections for LGBTQ Americans this year, but Republicans warn it would open the floodgates for transgender athletes to play on female sports teams. A large piece of a Chinese rocket from a launch last month is expected to fall back to Earth this weekend. Fox's Jill Nato reports.
A 23-ton rocket core careening out of orbit and headed for Earth. We don't know where it's going to hit, but researchers think they have an idea as to when. The Center for Orbital Reentry and Debris Study says it'll be around 0419 Greenwich Mean Time. That's 12:19 a.m. Eastern Time Sunday, give or take 8 hours. Because the Earth is mostly covered with water, chances are it'll hit an ocean. And some scientists believe as much as 40% of it will get burned up in the atmosphere. But if it hits land, whatever's left of it is bound to leave a mark. Jill Nato, Fox News.
At least 30 people were dead after a bomb exploded near a girls' school west of Kabul. The Taliban condemned the attack, and there's been no claim of responsibility. A well-known billionaire hosting tonight's Saturday Night Live show on NBC.
Tesla and SpaceX billionaire Elon Musk will take the stage this evening to try his hand at hosting the iconic show, which also features Miley Cyrus as musical guest. The announcement of Musk as Saturday Night Live host has drawn criticism on social media in posts from some of the show's own cast members, including Bowen Yang and Aidy Bryant. Others in the cast, like Michael Che and Pete Davidson, have been supportive of the idea. 2 more SNL episodes remain this season, with hosting duties falling to comedian Keegan-Michael Key on May 15th and Queen's Gambit star Anya Taylor-Joy on May 22nd. In New York City, Tanya J. Powers, Fox News.
And I'm Joe Chiro, Fox News.
Are you sick of being inside and really ready for all that summer has to offer? Well, maybe you are, but what about your vehicle? Whether it's your everyday daily driver or your boat truck, having a breakdown during the warm months just wastes precious time. Take your vehicle over to Expressway Auto and have them perform a pre-summer check to ensure that you can make the most out of the weeks ahead. But book your appointment now before everyone else does. Get your car or diesel truck ready for summer at Expressway Auto. Call 888-659-0631 today. Expressway Auto in North Pole. For more than 40 years, the Fairbanks Ear, Nose, and Throat Clinic has taken care of the Fairbanks community. It's who we are. From the thousands of patients cared for by our team of medical professionals to the nonprofits and community programs we sponsor and support, we love Alaska and Alaskans. If you're having issues of the head, neck, ear, sinus, or throat, we're here to help now. To book an appointment or to find out more, you can log on to fairbanksent.com or call 456-7768. Fairbanks Ear, Nose, and Throat Clinic. Building community, helping people, changing lives.
Planning special events like wedding receptions and big summer parties can be a bit stressful. This is Lavinia, co-owner of Independent Rental. Our goal is to provide the items you need to make your special event perfect. We are here to help make those memories complete. Tents, tables, chairs, PA and speaker systems, even a dance floor. Independent Rental has all sorts of other affordable items you may not have thought about, including linens and food service equipment. No need to be stressed. Your guests will be impressed. Independent Rental. We're here to help.
Every 2 minutes, a woman in the U.S. is diagnosed with breast cancer. And in that split second, her life changes forever. The toll of breast cancer is great. The need to support those who are battling the disease today is even greater. We're fighting alongside patients because we know one moment can change a lifetime. United by hope, we can end breast cancer. Join our fight. Save lives.
Big Daddy says forget Taco Tuesday. Come on down for ribs. Just $1.50 each every Tuesday at Big Daddy's. Oh yes, ribs from Big Daddy's are legendary. And at $1.50 each, you can feed the whole family. Don't forget those sides, including collard greens, fried okra, red beans and rice, coleslaw, all genuine from the northernmost Southern barbecue. Make sure you don't miss $1.50 Rib Tuesdays at Big Daddy's on Wickersham between 1st and 2nd Avenues in downtown Fairbanks.
Golden Heart Waste Management wants to thank Fairbanks for their support. They're the local guys here to help local businesses and residents with their waste management needs. Golden Heart Waste Management, lifelong Alaskans serving Alaskans. Locally operated with new rigs and new dumpsters, and best of all, competitive rates. Keeping your place clean and tidy all year long. Whether you need weekly or monthly pickups, or maybe a bigger size for construction jobs and remodels, call 455-4496 or online at ghwmfairbanks.com. If you haven't gotten a quote yet, you're probably paying too much.
I'm on the run with you, my sweet love. There's nothing wrong. Contemplating God under the chemtrails over the country club. Wearing our shoes in the swimming pool. Me and my sister just playing it cool under the chemtrails over the country club. Take out your turquoise and all of your jewels. Go to the market, the kids' swimming pool. Baby, what's your sign? My moon's in Leo, my Cancer is Sun. You won't play, you know.
Welcome back, Patriots Event.
What they think, drag racing my little red.
There it goes.
Yep. Let's rock and roll. You got a caller still?
Yeah, we still have a caller. You want to hit him? Yeah. Okay. Hello, you're up.
Hi.
Hi there.
So your last caller was talking about food hoarding versus food storing.
Mm-hmm.
I think that the best people who have a good system for this are the LDS, the Mormons.
Yep.
issue with their theology, but their preparation and community resources are extraordinary.
Second to none. Second to none. They are awesome. Absolutely awesome. You're right. I'm the same way.
So-
I grew up in Idaho, so yeah, I knew a lot of Mormons, mostly Mormons. Anyways, but we got to go when they glean orchards, then they go and they have their own canneries. And there'd be like 50 people there. We put up 10,000 jars of applesauce and 10,000 jars of peaches, and it was amazing the way they worked together for stuff like that.
Right, and their social safety net within the church is extraordinary. If you get a chance to research what they do with to help out their members, but I just was thinking, as an individual, personal level, it's easy to make decisions like the Mormons have done before things go bad. So just individually, we all need to make decisions based on rational reasoned thought before things get stressful. It's a lot easier to make decisions before you're in a stressful situation.
Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. Good point.
And they also have websites that are for their church members that are food storage and freeze dry units and things like that. You can learn a lot from them on how to maintain and store food, because they're prepared for 7 years. Each household is supposed to be prepared for 7 years of no food and no water.
Yeah. And you can get small freeze drying units now for a couple thousand. So that's doable for an awful lot of people.
Right. And here in Alaska, we have these wonderful resources of fish and meat and berries and things that aren't available in cities that I feel a lot of people just don't use.
Yeah.
For whatever reason.
Well, here at Fairbanks, it actually gets cold enough in December, January, February. You could actually do freeze drying without the refrigeration unit. All you need is a vacuum chamber. So, those freeze drying units, they'll go down to about minus 40. So, yeah, if you get a night of minus 40, you could you have a vacuum chamber. You could, which are pretty cheap to get on eBay, $100 or less.
Yeah, I never thought of that. I've lived here for a long time and complained about the negative 40. Sorry.
Yeah, your food just has to last until it gets that cold. That's the only downfall.
Can it. Put it in a can. Jar it.
Save it to freeze dry later.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah,
There they go. Oh.
Yeah, they dropped off. There was we were talking about the news minor in the break there. And, there's a little write up I did on patriotcement.com if you want to check it out. But questioning no account good for nothing COVID numbers. So basically, the article goes in. It's the article is titled "Younger, Angrier, and Unvaccinated." That's the patient demographic Fairbanks Memorial Hospital is seeing as COVID cases skyrocket in interior Alaska. And can I throw the BS card on that one? Because it's BS.
Yeah, the hospitals have never been even close to full. They're lying stats and bullcrap. BS. Right.
And if you actually read the article that they publish, you see that it's just total BS. They claim that because Fairbanks is the second most unvaccinated region in Alaska, Mat-Su is the first most unvaccinated.
So we're the second healthiest region?
Yeah. Well, no, they claim that that's why Fairbanks is seeing this recent spike in COVID numbers. And if you look at the graph, if you go to the state website and you look at the graph, the DHSS website, you look at the graphs for COVID counts over time, the graphs look similar. They're similar in shape. So we peaked out in November, and then December it started to come down, and it continued to come down significantly until January. And January 15th was the first vaccination clinic, and then it dipped down, and then it rose back up statewide. So it actually increased after the vaccination clinic started. And then Fairbanks does have a disproportionate spike compared to other places.
Yeah, but hospitalizations or infections. Because I call BS on infections too. If you're not sick, if you're walking around, you don't show signs of having a dang cold, you don't have a cold.
Right. And
I'm so tired of this bullcrap of make-believe and people falling for it. It's so stupid. Oh, I got the COVID. Really? What happened? Oh, I was asymptomatic. Then you didn't have it, you retard. Knock it off.
Well, what they're saying in the article, I mean, Fairbanks did have a disproportionate spike for like a week, and that doesn't really mean anything statistically. So the article points out that 51 of 56 beds are filled. Well, that's 90%. In normal times, I don't know what they keep their beds filled to. It just says that they're filled. It doesn't say they're filled with COVID patients. Just that they're filled. What are they filled with?
Exactly. Two of my cousins that work at the hospital said that not here. They work in Anchorage Hospital, but the news was the same there. And I talked to them specifically when it was happening because all the Alaska's hospitals were overrun. So how's it going? He said just like every single winter.
Yeah.
I said, well, are you overrun? He goes, nope, this is good business. They make money doing this.
Yeah, they don't want a hospital that's filled with empty beds because they can't make money off of them. And then
people actually believe that, though. They don't realize the hospitals are businesses that want to make money. And when you offer them $40,000, if they'll come up with a little sample that says this guy has COVID, they're going to do it.
Yeah. Oh, and it gets worse.
Okay, how about this, Mike? Let's throw this out there. Anyone out there that works in any hospital, in town or out of town, whatever, I'd just like them to call and say, are the hospitals being... Can someone drive by and say, does anyone know what an actual massive fatality rate is? Do people not know what real pandemics are? We don't get to talk about it and say, well, is it real? Is it not real? Everyone knows it's real. There would be no more homeless people. They would all be dead. Thousands of your little children. I would know every family that we know would be affected by a death and several deaths. That's a pandemic. Like this is crap.
You're dead.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's so ridiculous that they talk about the ICU beds. 8 of the 13 ICU beds are used. That's 62%. 62% of the ICU beds. That means 38% don't have anyone in them, and it's 8 people. 8 people out of 100,000 in the borough.
Scary news.
Yeah. The hysteria. Oh my God.
Yeah, exactly. Like this guy. This guy that's watching us on YouTube, he always saying something fantastic. He just said, imagine a virus so deadly, the government needs to test you to see if you have it. Exactly my point. You don't get tested in a pandemic because you're dead.
Or so deadly that the government needs to tell you how bad it is.
Right.
Because you wouldn't know otherwise.
You wouldn't know otherwise.
Yeah, so
and Mike, they never told us the truth about hospitalizations, where every hospital in the United States is required to be able to go up to 150% of capacity. Every one of them. Which ones did?
I don't know if any that did.
And I don't give a crap what happened. I mean, I care about the people that died, but who cares what New York's doing? Who cares what California's doing? Who cares what Idaho's doing? When I'm living in Fairbanks, I care about what's happening right here. And we never reached 150%, not even close. No. And I don't care if people out there, oh, yeah, well, some people, that's fine. If you want to go live somewhere else and be locked down and have your hospitals overrun and imagine that they really are, that's great. Leave. Get away from me. Leave me alone. Quit lying to us to try to scare us. All governments do, lie and scare. Because if everything is going great, it's kind of like when you're I like using this example. It's kind of like using the foxhole example, right? Where the atheist, everything's going good. I don't believe in God. But when he's in the foxhole and the shells are lying around, he's like, I'm starting to think maybe, Lord, get me out of this one. It's the same thing with the government. If everything's going fine, do you need them? No. But as long as there's something terrible, as long as there's a catastrophe, as long as there might be a terrorist attack, as long as we might run out of water, we might run out of food, the world might burn up, the burglars might come kill you, the guy with the crazy shotgun that voted for Trump's going to kill him. There's always a gross problem out there that they say we need them for.
Mm-hmm.
That's why we always say they're the ones that create the problems. To
They're the ones
that you need them.
Yeah.
FBI.
I want them to know that they need us, right?
Yep. We don't need you. Oh yeah, well I'm gonna burn down half of your yeah. Okay. Basically, it's we do need you to stop killing us, government. Stop screwing us, government. We do need you to stop a lot of things.
Mm-hmm. Well, we got 3 calls. Let's hit them.
Do this.
Hello, you're on there. Hello. You there?
See, for the
Hello, you're on the air now.
where is the moral and ethical advocacy for the youth that's being force fed all this filth?
Yeah,
in the
good
public
point.
pool, in the public pool system.
The kids that have a 0.00027% chance of dying from this virus, and look what we're doing to them. Great point.
Where's the PTA?
They're the ones pushing it.
Where's the moral and ethical advocacy for the students, the youth?
Yeah, there is none.
It's supposed to be their parents, but it's
where's
not.
the PTA?
They're the BTK now.
PTA, it's the Parental Teacher Association. It's a farce.
Yeah.
They're all
it's
holed
just-
up with their masks on and they're waiting for Biden to tell them what the next thing they're supposed to do. That's where they're.
But listen, the youngsters, the youth in the school, they're not ignorant. They know that there's something trashy going on.
Yeah, you know what? That reminds me. I was at a store yesterday, and we were all walking around in there with no mask, and I saw this little girl, maybe 4. I'll say about 4, and she's being held by one of the parents, and they're all masked up, and she kept looking at us, and I kept looking. Why is she? And I'm like, what are we doing weird? And then I realized we were not wearing masks. And she was, because she pulled on her mask a couple times while she was staring at us. She pulled it out, and she wanted to take it off, and she let it go, and she's pulling it down. It's yeah, she knows it's dumb, but we literally are giving a whole new generation of children the idea that walking around with a diaper on your face is not only okay, it's preferable than not, and that's sickening. People that do, you're sick. You're a sick psychopath to force your kids to think that's what reality is. You're the sickos, not us. You're the sickos. We're doing what nature does. We walk around, we breathe the way we were born. You people are the sickos, not us.
Right.
You should be ashamed of yourself.
Oh, you're up. Oh, sorry.
Sorry, Mike.
Oh, go ahead.
You're doing a good job. What part of Idaho are you from, sir?
Oh, I'm not. Josh is.
I grew up just outside of Boise, and I'm here right now taking care of some family business. I have lots of family here, though. Yep.
You're a southerner. I'm from Walls, Kellogg, Idaho. So.
Right on. Kellogg. Yeah, I had to go up in the desert. Thanks for calling.
You bet. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Kellogg's pretty sweet. Maybe I need to go there.
Hello, you're up. Hello. Last chance.
Come on. Oh, well. 907-458-8255.
I think they're trying back. You there? Nope. I guess they're having troubles. Anyway, yeah, 458-8255.
You know, there's babies out there being born in the freest country in the world, America, Mike, that see their parents wearing masks all the time since they've been born. They're a year old now, and they always see their parents wearing a mask. Everywhere they go, they see masks. Everywhere they go, their parents tell them, stay away from those people. They're dangerous. Why, Daddy? Because it's a human. Oh, humans are bad. Yes, humans are bad.
Well, yeah, that's children will be wired and they'll grow up that way. You look at, let's take the refugee issue. There's now this common perception of, oh, all these Muslims are bad, right? Is it that, or did they come out of a region of the world where people have grown up for the past 20 years, and all they've seen is to come home to their house destroyed, rubble, with their family members' body parts strewn about? Is that what could be affecting them, rather than the fact that they're Muslim?
Nah, man, come on.
No, maybe not. Maybe they aren't wired that way. You know, no, that's what's going on. The policy that has been implemented for decades over there is what has wired these people to be the way that they are. And likewise, covering your kid's face is going to wire them to be the way that they will be in the future, to fear someone who is not covered, to fear someone who is closer than 6 feet from them. You're wiring your kids for the future right now in the way that you are adhering to ridiculous policy.
Right. And I know some people think, well, why, how do you come up with this? Why does A and B equal, why does this 1 and 1 equal 2? The reason that, why does the government care if we think that way about humans and stuff, is because it creates dependency and it creates obedience. Because the first thing you're told when you're that little kid, or even a big kid, is that the natural thing you want to do is go interact with people, right? Why do we have societies? Because we like to interact with other people. That's why societies come about. We don't want to be, well, I kind of do sometimes. We don't want to be these big bearded dudes out in the middle of nowhere that don't talk to anyone. We're social creatures. And the first thing you're telling these kids is do the opposite of what nature tells them. Stay away from other social creatures. Hide from the social creatures. Ooh, and Mr. Government's here to help you for that. It's all for obedience, obedience, obedience. To get Americans, what have Americans done in the last year? We turned on each other. I mean, I don't want to see another 9/11 happen, so we're all raw friends again, but the government split us down the middle, not even the middle. There's thousands of factions now. Republicans don't all believe the same about the COVID mess. Democrats don't all believe the same about it. It's frustrating, Mike.
Yeah, people who used to be friends are no longer friends anymore. Right?
Absolutely.
Well, I shouldn't say that. Maybe it's just say that they're strained. Their relationships are strained now.
Well,
but
about all I got. I'm wore myself out.
Well, let's see. We have to try one caller. We got 30 seconds. Hello, caller. You're on there. You got 30 seconds.
I'd like to have you guys talk about bartering silver coins in the marketplace, and I'll hang up and listen.
Okay, yeah.
Well, we're out of time.
We'll say that for next week. Yeah, let's do it.
But let's talk about it next week.
But yeah, we're all for it. Just to be in short, we're all for it. Also, barter with fuel, coal, whatever, food. It all works.
Time, material, everything.
Yeah. Well, we'll see you next week.
But you can't hate your neighbor when you got to barter, right? That's the other good thing about bartering. You have to get along with people.
That's
You
right.
don't take the government with you and say, make him sell it to me for what I want. All right. See you guys. Thanks.
Later.
More coverage of the Open North American Championship sled dog race after this, only